And welcome in as Grizzly football about to get going. So much excitement here for the fall. Time for us to catch up with the newest addition to Grizzly football. And there hasn't been much turnover with Coach Houck and his staff since he's been here the last 3 years, but a new addition. So happy to welcome Ronnie Bradford. What a career. I mean, first off, we're going to get into this, but the new cornerbacks coach here and assistant head coach to add to so much experience. Ronnie, first off, I know we've gotten to know you the last couple of months, but it's great to officially welcome you to Griz Nation. Thanks for being here with us today.
I appreciate you guys having me in today. Yeah, hopefully we get into a little conversation about me and myself, but appreciate you guys taking the time to come out.
I'm going to list the accolades here. You probably never get tired of this, Coach. I mean, when you played in the NFL for 10 years, a 15-year coaching career right now, 8 in the college game, 7 in the NFL, and now you've been here now at Montana for a couple of months. Tell us how this opportunity came to be, because it's certain star power right away when we saw the name and the connection with Coach Houck. So just kind of take us through the timeline on how this all came to be here for the Griz.
Are we talking about how I met Bobby, or we want to talk about a little bit about how I came, just him calling me to come,
Let's talk about that first. Let's talk about coming to Montana first.
The thing was, I was at home. I was doing some coaching clinics, Zoom coaching clinics and whatnot. I was doing a little consulting, helping some buddies out, taking the trips there and just looking at their programs and whatnot and just making little pointers here and there. And then I get a call from Bobby, and Bobby's like, hey, I got an opening on my staff, coaching cornerbacks. Would you be interested? And I go, yeah, no question. I go, what? Yeah. So I threw it was probably the fastest packing job I could say I probably did. I threw everything in the car. I think I got 4 big suitcases in the car and drove up. It was 16 hours straight. I think I pulled over in Dillon, had about 5 hours of sleep, and then jumped back in the car and drove the rest of the way up here just so I could be, in the room the next morning for the defensive coaches meeting. So that's what I really wanted to make it to, just kind of introduce myself, get around the coaching staff, and that's kind of like the beginning of it.
It all happened quick, and you were up here for those spring games where the Grizzlies were really dominant over wins, of course, over Central Washington and Portland State. Now let's go back a bit further to your connection with the Houcks and the Houck family, really, because Tim plays a piece in this as well. So take us back down memory lane on how the first connection with the Houcks happened, Coach.
No question. I remember, I think it was back in '95. Tim Houck had came to the Denver Broncos, and me and him were kind of competing. Although I was playing cornerback, we were kind of competing for that defensive back spot, that remaining defensive back spot. We both played special teams. We both were like backups from a football standpoint or a position standpoint on the depth chart. And then Coach Mack had ended up leaving Colorado. I think he ended up retiring, and Rick Neuheisel had took over. Rick Neuheisel hires a few guys from his staff. He ended up hiring Bobby, I think, from NAU, who came to his staff. I ended up going up there in spring ball, just to see those guys move around and run around, my old stomping grounds up in Boulder. And I just went over there, watched Bobby, coach up his position. I think he was coaching special teams, and if I'm not mistaken, some backers or whatnot. But the thing that what really intrigued me was his attention to detail, and he gets after it. And although, he'd come from a small program, it's like he'd been coaching, at a P5 level for years. The way he handled him, he was a young coach who handled those guys like he'd been doing it for a number of years. So I respected him from that standpoint. And a good thing happened from there, though. Like I said, I was competing against his brother. He ended up winning out. And so my career in Denver came to a halt with the Broncos. I ended up going on playing for the Cardinals, playing 5 years in Atlanta, and then I finished my last year, 10th year in Minnesota. So I thank Bobby in one sense that, his brother was there and I got to come up and watch them coach. But, I was a little angry at first, but it actually worked out better for me in the end.
It's amazing how things work out sometimes, how they're supposed to, Coach. Yeah. And let's go to your playing career, because when you look at it, it's pretty darn impressive. You are a piece of college football history. Let's go back to the 1990 National Championship game. Mm-hmm. You're playing for the Buffs, and you block an extra point to beat Notre Dame 10-9 in the Orange Bowl and national champs, everything in between. What do you remember most about that moment? And also, Coach Houck has talked about how he still used that clip every year and every stop throughout his coaching journey to show the effort and determination you need on special teams plays. So I guess twofold question. Tell me about that play and what that means to you, that it's still used as teaching moments down the road here.
Well, that play, I think it probably would have been a lot more monumental had it happened the last extra point of the game. But it happened in the second quarter. So, you know, like and you guys heard me say it before. I said that. I said, you know, with that being said, I said my name and $2 to get you a warm cinnamon roll at the local bakery in Colorado. But, you know, it just happened in the second quarter. It just so happened to be the difference in the game. That 1 point was the difference in the game as we went on to win 10-9, you know. But, you know, it was a good thing. A lot of teammates remember it. Every time we cross paths, some of them call me the block, and we start laughing because they joke about it, and I joke about it with them too. But, you know, it was just one of those things where it happened, didn't think much about it, and then at the end of the game, it was like, wow. I guess that ended up being a big thing. Him using it as a teaching point, I think it goes a long way in showing guys that it doesn't matter at what point in time of the game. Sometimes a play might be the difference between winning and losing, no matter at what point in time of the game it occurs. I feel like special teams has always been like a catalyst for me, whether it be from a playing standpoint, because that's how I got my start with the Broncos and ended up starting for them my rookie year, to my coaching stint. My second year ever coaching, I was a special teams coordinator at Denver Broncos. So it's been special teams has been a big part of my life. That block being on a special teams play, I guess it was in the cards.
And it's very fitting that you're here with Coach Houck now, the special teams guru throughout his entire career. So there'll be plenty of minds in that special teams room. And Coach, let's talk a little bit about this NFL career that you had. Of course, 10 years, a couple different teams like you mentioned. But again, a piece of history. You had an interception in Super Bowl 33 for the Falcons. So just take me through maybe your favorite moment or some of your favorite moments throughout your NFL career as well.
You know what? You know, leading up to that game, I grew up in Commerce City, Colorado, which is 5 minutes north of Denver. If you ever landed in Denver, Colorado, you landed in my hometown, Commerce City. But the wild thing is I grew up a Broncos fan. My family grew up a Broncos fan. So, you know, it was just interesting getting a chance to play with them. But playing against them in the Super Bowl was exciting because, you know, I almost had to convince half my family to become like a Falcons fan, you know, just for one game. Then they can go back to being Bronco fans. But, you know, it was great. The feeling leading up to it was the week was awesome. The game wasn't so awesome for the Falcons, but the week leading up to it, I'll always remember one of the biggest things I never said in my career. What was one of the big moments of my career that I remember? I remember playing against the Minnesota Vikings when they had been 15-1 that regular season, and everybody had already started, you know, already pinned them in to be, you know, in the Super Bowl. As a matter of fact, I think we got our gear late for Super Bowl preparation because they had to rip all the Minnesota stuff off the bags and off the shirts and actually stitch on Falcons things. So that was one of the awkward moments of my Super Bowl, you know, experience. But you know what? I wouldn't trade it for the world. You know, having John Elway's last interception, and me and John played together my first 3 years in the league, which is insane. But, you know, having his last interception, I couldn't tell you where that ball's at. Really couldn't. I know they brought it, they got it. It was on the sideline somewhere. I know I had it for a point. I think my kids threw it in the lake, playing around, and it's probably floating down to Chattahoochee and like Georgia somewhere.
Oh, I was going to say, okay, we need to put out a search committee here for this ball here that's going down in NFL history. Coach, I mean, we've talked now about your playing career, and as it translates to this long coaching career now, 15 years as we previously mentioned. Last stop was at USC and a lot of great spots along the way. But how would you best describe your coaching style?
You know, my coaching style, I think it's very matter of fact. When I get in, you know, I explain to the guys what I expect from them. I set a standard of performance, whether that's in the classroom or it's on the football field. It's what I expect for them to hold true to, or just hold their line, hold up their end of the bargain too, because I'm going to hold up my end of the bargain and making sure that they're prepared, whether it be in the classroom or whether it be on the football field. I'm trying to hold up my end of the bargain, and that's all I ask, that they try with all their passion, 100% effort, that they try to hold up their end of the bargain.
And you have some talented cornerbacks in your room. You obviously have your hands on everything being the assistant head coach, but specifically your corners. And that's kind of a new position group here with a lot of new names, at least for Griz Nation, some transfer talent that's in there, and we really got a mini preview of what they could do on the field in those 2 spring games. But just give us maybe a guideline or what you think right now of your cornerback room and some of the guys that you have that are standing out right there.
You know, the guys, when I got here, like I said, didn't even know a whole lot of names, you know, and that's the crazy thing about it. Everything kind of just in the spring just rolled downhill. I remember Bobby mentioning to me that we were going to be playing a game, and I'm thinking it's like the spring game for the Montana Grizzly, and it's actually we're playing against Central Washington. And I'm like, oh, we're actually playing a game against another team. So it was actually good. Now the guys got a chance to go out, and he talked about, the guys he felt were getting a little frustrated going against themselves. And now it was time to go and see what we could do against an opponent, you know what I'm saying, that was in our conference. And we might have to play, if not this season in the playoffs, then maybe next season. But the guys went out. I thought they did a great job of setting an excellent foundation in which to build from. And, took a little bit of some of our core values to what we talk about, setting a standard and holding yourself to it and not trying to fall back from that. And I thought they did a good job of building on top of that. Some of the guys in the room, I know we'd started off with, the Corbin Walker, and Omar Hicks, and then, Justin Ford came in and played a great game. And as a cornerbacks coach or defensive back coach, you want to be able to have a good rotation of players, but you want to create competition. So every week they're competing for playing time, for depth chart position, and it just makes everybody that much better. It's iron and sharpening iron. It's that double-edged sword that, everybody's just working hard and trying to be better each and every day.
The corners room has come a long way in the 3 years since Bobby Hauck's been at the helm. Excited for what they can do in the fall. Let's transition a bit. You've been around a lot of coaching staffs. This one is very unique. There's a ton of experience, and they're a cast of characters as well, with just a phenomenal talent around in that room and great football minds. So you've been here a couple of months now, Coach. Give us your thoughts on the rest of this coaching staff, how it all is pieced together, and again, your thoughts on the cast of characters you work with.
You know what? I come in and I'd spoken to a couple of friends, and they called and congratulated me on, on the job. But, and getting to know the staff, I told them first and foremost, man, we got a great staff here. The guys get along, they gel. They're not afraid to answer questions. I go into the office, I go into, Coach Rosenbaum's room and go, hey, Coach, tell me what you're seeing. Are my guys giving anything away? And he gives me great feedback. Coach Pease gives me great feedback. We can run drills together in which we get better from that standpoint. And just Coach Germ, I talked to the old offensive line coach. Hey, who you looking for? What are you trying to attack when you're coming out there? You're pulling outside. Are you looking for the cornerback? Are you looking to turn up inside? Something of that nature. But for the most part, I feel like on the defensive side of the ball, I came in, wasn't trying to step on anybody's toes or anything like that. It was just getting to know the guys, and you just gelled. They know what to expect from me. I know what to expect from them. Everybody comes to work every day, puts in, a day's work, an honest day's work. We work hard. We're going to work long hours. In the off season, with those 2 games, it was a lot different because it was a season within an off season, and everybody knows during the season, we're working anywhere from 12, 17 hours some days. So it's like that grind you get into. It was good from my standpoint because now I got back into that groove a little bit. And then we went right into the off season, right into the recruiting kind of thing. And then now we went into camp season where we're doing a whole lot of elite camps and kids camps. So you go back into your teaching standpoint. Now we get a little time off before we get ready to get right back into it.
And around 50 days till kickoff against Washington, just a couple of weeks until fall camp starts. Before we get into that, let's go off the field, Coach. Your hobbies. What do you do outside of football? And have you had time yet to enjoy the beautiful scenery in the place that is Missoula, Montana?
You know what? I've had a little bit of a chance to enjoy Missoula, Montana, just, going to a couple of spots. I've traveled up that M a couple of times and, probably
Have you ran up with Coach Hauck at 5 a.m. yet? Okay.
I've not. I've lost a lung up there a time, trying to get up there. But, I've enjoyed some spots around Missoula. With the GSA tour that the coaches take, I've got to see some parts of Montana I never thought I would see. So anywhere from Billings, we stopped in Butte, and actually got a chance to go down to, I think it was, it's a Polson, just outside of there, and just the views. It stuns. Everybody calls me, when my friends call me, I tell them, I said, hey, it's like I'm living in a postcard. And I really mean that. I can just take pictures. I'm walking across here today, and I walk to work. I just walked to work. I was walking across the bridge, taking pictures of the river, because the last time I took the picture of the river, it was it had been up a little bit, and it was running fast. And I took a picture today. You can see the rocks at the bottom, and they're like, is that the same river you took a picture of like about a month ago? I was like, yeah, same river. So, you know, I love it. It's beautiful. It's quiet. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things to do, you know what I'm saying, from an outdoor standpoint. If you enjoy walking, hiking, you know, if you're canoeing, boating, kayaking, whatever you want to do. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's a place where you feel good, you know, when you come to work each and every day.
Grizzly football certainly got better with the addition of Ronnie Bradford. Coach, thanks for sitting down and letting Griz Nation know a little bit more about you, and we'll certainly catch up again in the fall.
Oh, no doubt. Look forward to it.
Sounds good. Everybody stay tuned for Grizzly football updates as we get ready for Spokane and the Big Sky kickoff coming up next week.